In the small village of Ilewa, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, there lived a young girl named Teni. Teni was known for her kindness and her exceptional skill in weaving beautiful dresses. Every woman in the village admired her creations, and her dresses were the highlight of every festival. One day, as the village prepared for the annual harvest festival, the women brought their best fabrics to Teni. Among them was Adunni, the village chief's daughter, who presented Teni with the finest silk. Adunni's dress was to be the centerpiece of the festival, and she trusted Teni completely with its creation. Teni accepted the fabrics with a smile, promising to weave a dress that would make Adunni the envy of the village. She worked day and night, her fingers dancing over the loom, her mind filled with patterns and colors. But as she worked, she couldn't shake off the feeling of unease that had settled in her heart. Years ago, Teni had lost her mother in a tragic accident. Her mother had been a skilled weaver too, and Teni had inherited her talents. But she had also inherited something else, her mother's unfinished business. Before her death, Teni's mother had woven a dress for the former village chief's wife, but the woman had never paid her. It was a debt that had haunted their family, and Teni's mother had died with a heavy heart. Teni decided that she would avenge her mother. She took Adunni's dress and, in a moment of impulsive rage, altered it. She wove a hidden curse into the fabric, using the dark magic she had learned from old village tales. She knew it was wrong, but the pain of her mother's death and the injustice that had first pushed her to the brink. The day of the harvest festival arrived. The village was alive with music, laughter, and the aroma of delicious food. Adunni wore her dress with pride, unaware of the cause hidden within. As she danced and celebrated, Teni watched from a distance, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and anticipation. Suddenly, Adunni stumbled. Her face turned pale, and she clutched her chest. The villagers rushed to her side, but Teni stepped back, frozen in place. She realized the gravity of what she had done. Adunni's father, the chief, looked around frantically, trying to understand what was happening. Whispers spread through the crowd. Some blamed the heat, others suspected a bad omen. But deep down, Teni knew the truth. She had let her anger and sorrow consume her, and now an innocent girl was suffering. As the festival continued, the mood shifted from joyous to somber. Teni felt the weight of her actions bearing down on her. She wanted to run, to escape the guilt, but she couldn't move. The villagers' eyes were on Adunni, but Teni felt their judgment piercing her heart. That night, Teni couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned, haunted by visions of her mother and the curse she had woven. She had to find a way to reverse it, to save Adunni and redeem herself. But how? The dark magic she had used was powerful and dangerous. Desperation drove her to the edge of the village, to the old healer's hut. The healer, a wise woman named Morayo, was known for her knowledge of both light and dark magic. Teni hesitated at the door, her heart racing. She had never been to Morayo before, fearing the woman's stern reputation. With a deep breath, Teni knocked. The door creaked open, and Morayo's piercing eyes met hers. "What brings you here, child?" she asked, her voice as calm as the night. Teni's voice trembled as she explained what she had done. Morayo listened in silence, her expression unreadable. When Teni finished, tears streaming down her face, Morayo sighed. "You've made a grave mistake," Morayo said, her tone firm but not unkind. "But every curse can be broken, if you're willing to pay the price." Teni nodded, willing to do anything to undo the harm she had caused. Morayo led her inside, where the air was thick with the scent of herbs and the glow of candlelight. She began to prepare a potion, her movements swift and precise. As Morayo worked, she spoke of the old ways, of the balance between light and dark. "You must understand, Teni," she said, "that magic is a powerful force. It should never be used in anger or revenge. Your mother knew this, and she would want you to learn it too. Teni listened, absorbing Morayo's words. She realized that her mother's legacy was not just in her weaving, but in her wisdom. She had to honor that legacy, not tarnish it with dark deeds. Finally, Morayo handed Teni the potion. This will lift the cause, she said. But it requires a sacrifice. You must give up something precious to you. Teni's heart ached at the thought, but she knew she had no choice. She thanked Morayo and hurried back to the village, clutching the potion. As she approached Adunni's home, she saw the worried faces of the villagers. The chief stood by his daughter's bedside, his expression filled with grief. Teni stepped forward, her voice steady but soft. "I can help," she said, holding up the potion. The chief looked at her, hope flickering in his eyes. He nodded, and Teni moved to Adunni's side. As she poured the potion over the dress, she whispered an apology. The fabric glowed briefly, then the curse lifted. Adunni's color returned, and she opened her eyes, confused but alive. The village erupted in relief and gratitude, but Teni knew her journey was far from over. She had learned a valuable lesson, but she had also met a powerful enemy in the darkness. The road ahead was uncertain, but she was determined to work it with courage and honor. Guided by the spirit of her mother and the wisdom of Morayo, the village of Ilewa slowly returned to normal after the harvest festival. Adunni recovered, though the memory of her collapse lingered in the minds of the villagers. Teni tried to move on, but she couldn't shake off the feeling that something was still amiss. One evening, as she worked on a new dress, she heard a knock at her door. Opening it, she found Adunni standing there, looking pale but determined. "Teni, I need to talk to you," Adunni said, her voice trembling. "I've been having strange dreams since the festival. Dreams of a dark figure, whispering to me. I think it has something to do with the dress." Teni's heart sank. She had hoped that lifting the curse would be the end of it, but it seemed that the darkness she had invoked was not so easily banished. She invited Adunni in and listened as she described the dreams in detail. "I don't know what it means," Adunni said, "but I'm scared. Can you help me?" Teni nodded, though she wasn't sure how. She decided to seek Morayo's advice once more. Together, they made their way to the healer's hut. Morayo listened patiently as Adunni recounted her dreams. "This is troubling," Morayo said, her brow furrowed. "The curse may be lifted, but the darkness you called upon still lingers. It has found a way into Adunni's dreams, and it will not leave easily." Teni felt a wave of guilt wash over her. "What can we do?" she asked, desperation in her voice. Morayo looked thoughtful. "There is a ritual that can cleanse the spirit and banish the darkness completely, but it is dangerous. It requires great strength and courage from both of you." Adunni and Teni exchanged a glance. They knew they had no choice. Morayo explained the ritual, detailing the steps they would need to take. It involved a journey to the heart of the forest, to a sacred grove where the veil between worlds was thin. As they prepared for the journey, Teni couldn't help but feel a sense of dread. The forest was a place of mystery and danger, filled with creatures and spirits both benign and malevolent. But she knew they had to go through with it. For Adunni's sake and for the sake of the village, they set out at dawn, guided by Morayo's instructions. The forest was dense and dark, the air thick with the scent of earth and foliage. Teni and Adunni worked in silence, their steps echoing in the stillness. As they ventured deeper, the atmosphere grew heavier. Shadows seemed to move in the corners of their vision, and strange noises filled the air. Teni felt a chill run down her spine, but she pressed on, determined to see the journey through. After hours of working, they reached the sacred grove. It was a small clearing, bathed in the soft light of the setting sun. In the center stood an ancient tree, its branches twisted and gnarled. Morayo had told them that this tree was a gateway between worlds, a place where the darkness could be confronted and banished. Teni and Adunni stood before the tree, their hearts pounding. Morayo had given them a pouch of herbs and a vial of blessed water, which they now sprinkled around the base of the tree. As they did so, they began to chant the incantation Morayo had taught them. The air grew colder, and a sense of foreboding filled the grove. Suddenly, the ground trembled, and a dark figure emerged from the shadows. It was tall and menacing, its eyes glowing with an eerie light. Teni and Adunni stood their ground, their voices steady as they continued the chant. The figure moved closer, its presence oppressive and suffocating. It whispered words of fear and doubt, trying to break their resolve. Teni felt her knees weaken, but she gripped Adunni's hand, drawing strength from her friend. They had come too far to turn back now. As the chant reached its crescendo, the figure let out a piercing scream. The air around them crackled with energy, and the darkness seemed to pulse and writhe. Teni and Adunni closed their eyes, focusing on the words of the incantation and the light within their hearts. Suddenly, there was a blinding flash of light. The dark figure let out a final, anguished cry before dissolving into nothingness. The grove fell silent, and the oppressive weight lifted. Teni and Adunni opened their eyes to see the ancient tree glowing with a soft, golden light. The ritual was complete. The darkness had been banished. Exhausted but relieved, Teni and Adunni made their way back to the village. They were greeted with cheers and tears of joy. The villagers had been worried, and their return brought hope and relief. Over the following days, Adunni's dreams returned to normal. The village returned to its peaceful routine, but Teni knew that their ordeal had left a mark. She had learned a powerful lesson about the dangers of dark magic and the importance of using her gifts wisely. Teni visited Morayo one last time, to thank her and seek her guidance for the future. The old healer smiled, her eyes twinkling with warmth. "You have a strong heart, Teni," she said. "Remember to use your talents for good, and to honor your mother's legacy with wisdom and kindness." Teni nodded, feeling a sense of purpose and resolve. She would continue to weave beautiful dresses, but she would also weave love and light into her work, honoring the memory of her mother and the lessons she had learned. As the years passed, Teni became a beacon of hope and inspiration in Ilewa. Her dresses were more than just beautiful garments. They were symbols of resilience, courage, and the power of the human spirit. And though the darkness had tested her, it had also made her stronger. But the story of Teni and the dress was far from over. The darkness she had banished was not destroyed, it was merely waiting, biding its time. Teni would face new challenges and adventures, and the bonds she had forged with her friends and her village would be tested once more. For in the heart of every story lies the promise of new beginnings, and Teni's journey was only just beginning. The years rolled by, and Ilewa prospered under Teni's watchful care. She had grown not only in skill but also in wisdom, becoming a respected figure in the village. Her friendship with Adunni deepened, and they often reminisced about their harrowing journey to the sacred grove. One night, as Teni walked late into the evening, she felt a familiar chill. The candlelight flickered, casting long shadows on the walls of her small hut. She glanced around, a sense of unease settling in her chest. Memories of the dark figure they had banished came rushing back, and she knew something was amiss. The next morning, the village awoke to find strange symbols etched into the ground near the forest's edge. The elders called a meeting, and the villagers gathered, murmuring in fear and confusion. Teni stood among them, her mind racing. She recognized the symbols. They were remnants of the dark magic she had once invoked. Morayo approached her after the meeting, her expression grave. "The darkness has returned, Teni. It seeks revenge, and it will not rest until it has claimed what it desires." Teni felt a knot of fear tighten in her stomach. "What can we do?" she asked, Her voice steady but filled with worry, Morayo placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. We must gather the villagers and prepare for what's to come. We will need everyone's strength and unity to face this threat. As the days passed, Teni and Morayo worked tirelessly to prepare the village. They taught the villagers protective chants and rituals, fortifying their homes and hearts against the encroaching darkness. Teni's weaving took on a new purpose. She crafted talismans and charms, infusing them with light and hope. One evening, as they sat by the fire, Adunni approached Teni with a determined look in her eyes. I want to help, she said. I've been practicing the incantations, and I won't let you face this alone. Teni smiled, grateful for her friend's unwavering support. We'll need all the help we can get, she replied. Together, we're stronger. The darkness grew bolder with each passing night. Shadows flickered at the edge of the village, and eerie whispers filled the air. But Teni and the villagers stood firm, their bonds of friendship and community holding strong. One night, as the village slept, Teni had a dream. She found herself standing in the sacred grove once more, the ancient tree glowing with a soft light. Her mother appeared before her, her presence warm and comforting. Teni, her mother said, you have grown into a brave and wise young woman. The darkness you face is strong, but so is the light within you. Remember that you are never alone. The spirits of your ancestors are with you, guiding and protecting you. Teni awoke with a renewed sense of purpose. She knew that the battle ahead would be difficult, but she also knew that they could overcome it with courage and unity. As dawn broke, Teni gathered the villagers. The darkness is strong, but we are stronger, she said, her voice filled with determination. We will stand together and protect our home. Remember the light within you and the strength of our community. We will not let the darkness prevail. The villagers nodded, their faces set with resolve. Together, they prepared for the final confrontation with the darkness, knowing that their unity and courage would see them through. The final confrontation with the darkness loomed closer. The village of Ilewa was tense but resolute, ready to face whatever came their way. Teni, Adunni, and Morayo stood at the forefront, leading the villagers in their preparations. As night fell, an eerie silence descended upon the village. The air was thick with anticipation and fear. Teni felt a chill run down her spine, but she stood tall, drawing strength from the presence of her friends and the memory of her mother's words. The darkness arrived with a fierce wind, howling through the village like a banshee. Shadows twisted and writhed, forming into the familiar shape of the dark figure they had once banished. Its eyes glowed with malice as it approached, a menacing aura radiating from its form. Foolish mortals, it hissed, its voice echoing with a sinister undertone. You thought you could banish me? I am eternal. I am the darkness within your hearts. Teni stepped forward, her voice steady and clear. You have no power here. We are united, and we will not let you destroy our home. The figure laughed, a chilling sound that sent shivers down the villagers' spines. We shall see, it said, its form shifting and growing more ominous. Morayo began to chant, her voice strong and unwavering. The villagers joined in, their voices rising in a harmonious chorus. The air crackled with energy as they poured their collective strength into the incantation. The dark figure roared in anger, lashing out with tendrils of shadow. But the villagers held their ground, their unity forming an impenetrable barrier. Teni raised her hands, weaving a protective shield around them, her heart filled with determination. As the chant reached its peak, a blinding light erupted from the center of the village. The dark figure shrieked, its form disintegrating under the intense light. The villagers watched in awe as the darkness was consumed, leaving nothing but a lingering echo of its malevolence. The light faded, and the village fell silent. Teni and the others lowered their hands, exhausted but victorious. They had faced the darkness and emerged triumphant, Their unity and courage proving stronger than any malevolent force, the villagers erupted in cheers, embracing one another in relief and joy. Teni felt a deep sense of satisfaction and pride. They had protected their home and forged bonds that would never be broken. In the days that followed, Ilewa flourished. The darkness had been banished, and the village thrived under the watchful eyes of its guardians. Teni continued to weave her beautiful dresses, each one a testament to the resilience and strength of her people. As she worked, she often thought of her mother and the lessons she had learned. She knew that challenges would come, but she was ready to face them with the support of her friends and the wisdom of her ancestors. And so, the story of Teni and the dress continued, a tale of courage, unity, and the enduring power of light over darkness. The journey was far from over, but Teni was prepared for whatever lay ahead, guided by the strength of her heart and the spirit of her village.
Thanks for watching. For more content, subscribe to our channel, like, share, and comment on this video.